Hi, welcome to day 8 of the Kick My Asana challenge. My name is Melanie Dawn, and today we're starting our practice standing. So standing in mountain pose, we'll go to the tops of our mats. This is something that for me, a personal preference as a yogi is not my favorite. I would always choose to be on my back starting a practice, but in yoga, the path of yoga, we learn that what resists persists, and in discomfort is growth. So we'll start here. Even as a teacher, I like to push myself. So if this is something that you're resisting standing, just go into that feeling of what's behind my resistance. We'll take our arms out along side body, turn the palms forward, drop the shoulder blades down. Nice gentle tuck of the chin, and starting to take the breath all the way down into the belly. And you might even want to shift the weight into the heels and then forward into the ball of the foot. And just play with a subtle dance of balance. Not to be distracted, but more to root down, to grow down, to find roots. And if the eyes can close here, turning gaze inward towards the inner sensory body, what's happening for me inside my body, my physical self, watching any thoughts that are coming and going, and disengaging or disidentifying with each thought. It is something that I see, not something that I am. And we'll take both hands down into the belly and start to feel the physical acceptance of the breath into the belly as the hands move and the body expands to welcome in each inhale, and contracts to help the body release each exhale. If your mind is wandering outside of the room, see if you could bring yourself back in by being more aware of the physical container that you're in. What the temperature of the room feels like, how your skin reaching out to meet your clothing feels. Noticing any expectations of practice that are arriving for you today. Any thoughts, judgments, or already beliefs that are showing up, like, I don't have enough time, I can't do this, my body is sore. Any of that lingering chatter that's happening, acknowledging its existence, and then breathing it out. If your eyes are closed, begin to open the eyes. Take the arms out shoulder height. Bring the palms up towards the ceiling. See if you can soften across the tops of the shoulders. And then bring the hands forward so that the baby fingers touch. Hold. Palms are still up. Bend the elbows, bring the hands into prayer, bring the elbows to touch, and take them up shoulder height. So you're looking something like this, if that's eluding you. Elbows remain in contact, palms stay touching. On your exhale, you'll lift your fingertips up towards the ceiling, feeling that pull between the shoulder blades, and these are just tiny little micro movements coming back down shoulder height. Exhale, elbows, fingertips go up, slight tiny movement, and back down. This actually works well with an inhale going up. We'll change that breath as long as it's comfortable for you. Inhale, elbows rise, and exhale, elbows fall. Continuing for 4 more, and surprisingly, this may be generating a lot of heat in your shoulders. It's intentional. This is not easy, especially if the elbows stay in contact. Last two. And mine are already trying to part. It's very hard for me to keep them going back to center. And then we'll take the backs of your hands to your low back and bring your elbows forward. So this will drop the shoulder bones forward. And breathing for 2. If you have more, you might want to reach for opposite elbow or even come in hands in prayer behind your back. I've torn and had problems with both my rotator cuffs, so hands reaching for opposite elbow is as far as I'll be going. Breathing for 3. 2. And the last breath in here, fill all the way up. Hold at the top. And as you empty out, you'll take your arms front and cross opposite hand, opposite shoulder. So you're giving yourself a hug. It doesn't matter what elbow landed on top. From here, you'll start to lift the elbows up. This is gently parting the shoulder blades away from the spine. Continue flowing with your breath. There may be some sort of a, what is that called? Where you want to just catch your breath here. And then drop the shoulders down, cross opposite elbow over top. Come in for the hug. And one is probably going to feel better than the other. We just have more dominant side and more open side. Masculine is our right side. Feminine is our left. We tend to go towards our dominant side here as being more tight. Elbows start to lift. Up and away. So pushing also away from the body. That cue is missed on the first side, so if you want to go back after. Last 2, and you'll notice that I do a nice rock from side to side. This is a very soothing motion, relaxing the nervous system, and you can take it if you'd like, or stay still. And empty out, arms come along side body, palms turn forward, subtle lift through the heart, shoulder blades down the back body. Take a deep breath into the belly and hold once you're full. Big exhale out. Inhale, reach up, hands sweep above. Empty out, dive forward, fold. Soft knees, heavy feet, heavy head. In breath, halfway lift. Strong, flat back. Elbows will come along side body to bring the shoulder blades into the spine. Empty fold, Uttanasana, forward fold. Halfway lift, one more time. Ardha Uttanasana, elbows along side body, strong, flat back, fold. Mountain pose, press down through the feet, rise up through the hands. Samastiti, very powerful posture. Exhale, dive forward, fold. Hands will stay down on the mat. Left foot stays forward. Maybe bring them in nice and tight underneath the hips if they're a little bit wider. Take a big step back with your right foot and come up into your crescent lunge. From crescent lunge, we'll do a nice flow to start off with. This is going to be more of a flowy practice, so we'll hold the posture. And I probably haven't even talked about this yet. Yoga postures are called asana. That's why it's called Kick My Asana. Just as a little yogic hint, but also a swear word hint. So coming up into crescent lunge, hugging the heart nice and close to the spine. As you exhale, we'll bring thumbs to heart center, lower the back knee down, maybe to touch or just to hover. Inhale, come back up, kick the back leg straight. Exhale, empty knee drops down. Inhale up and down. We'll do 2 more. your breath. And if you only have 3 in you, that's okay too. We're getting there. We're getting somewhere. Every time we show up, we're a little bit deeper into our practice. Hold, hands come overhead, crescent lunge. Opening up, warrior 2. Back heel drops down, arms splay nice and wide out at shoulder height. A deep sink through the front leg, soft shoulders, soft jaw. So in the yoga practice, we're dancing with the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. What posture we have here is a strong posture. The parasympathetic nervous system is going, what? We have to be ready for what? And then the breath, with a long, slow, and steady breath, responds by saying, we don't have to be ready for everything. We're safe. On your inhale, front leg will straighten. Fingers reach up to tap. This is temple. Exhale, sink, warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Inhale, rise up, tap. Empty, warrior 2. Nice long breath in through the nose, reach up. Empty out to sink. Watching that the knee is pressing back behind you and not dropping forward. Inhale, rise. And exhale, sink, hold, warrior 2. From warrior 2, hands will come to hips, front leg straightens. Big toes are going to come in towards center. So making our way into a wide-legged forward fold. 3 breath here. Pressing down through the outside arches, pulling up through the inseam of the leg. Belly is taut, Mula Bandha locked, Uddiyana Bandha locked. So that's the 2 low belly locks, pelvic floor. As you inhale, hands reach up overhead. And this is something you're going to want to gauge your comfort level with, where your core is. As you exhale, reaching your hands forward, dropping out hip height, staying straight back. Inhale, rise. Strong belly. Empty, folding halfway. Breathing in, coming up. And be as dramatic as you'd like with your hands. I love the drama. Exhale, fold, halfway. Last 2. Your hips may be burning. That's just sensation as long as it's not pain. Discomfort is where we grow. Last 1, rising up. And as you empty this time, you can go all the way forward. So hands may come underneath shoulders. Maybe they land on blocks like this. Maybe your knees have a pretty good sized bend in them. That's okay too. We want to keep a nice subtle bend so that the quad stays engaged. Maybe, just maybe, you can walk your hands back behind your body and the crown of your head can come down. We'll be here for about 5 or 6 breaths. If you have headstand in your practice, you're welcome to move into it. I won't do it here just because maybe if I fall out, I might land on my computer, and I'm not willing to take that risk. I don't fall out very often, but that would be the time. So landing in your breath for another 4 deep, long, heavy breaths. Last one. If your breath was getting ragged, trying to make it as equal and even as possible. On your inhale, back will come up halfway. Hands will stack underneath the shoulders. You're going to turn your right toes towards the back side of your mat and walk your hands to frame your back foot. As soon as you touch down there, the back heel comes up, all 10 toes are pointing to now the back side of your mat, and we're coming up crescent lunge. Crescent lunge again, not a back bend, a nice, strong, flat back. Sinking deep into the front thigh, shoulders soften away from ears, baby fingers turning towards each other. On your exhale, back knee drops down. 1, come up. 2, dropping down, dropping in. 3. Last 2, stay in crescent lunge or complete them with me, your choice. Last 1. You know what I forgot? Thumbs coming into heart center. If you were doing that, good for you, because I forgot. Opening up warrior 2. I knew there was something dramatic that was missing, but that's kind of the fun about practicing with me, is you just never know what's going to make the second side. Warrior 2, front thigh is strong, knee is pressing back, and you've got lots of weight pushing into the outside arch of your back leg. Arms come up. On your inhale, front leg straightens, fingers tap overhead. And empty, warrior 2. Breathing in, coming up. Empty, sink. Follow your breath, 3 more. Breath in to rise. Exhales to come down. Last 2. Last 1. Hands will come into heart center. You'll turn your big toes out and away. Heels come in. You might want to come in a little tighter with the heels too. And then sink the hips back and down. This is a goddess squat, goddess posture, goddess asana. I'm actually not sure if it has a Sanskrit name. If it does, I don't think I've heard it. We could call it Kali because it's made of fire. It's got lots of strength in it. Trying to keep your focus off your thighs. Pretty soon we're going to take our hands to our thighs, but we have 2 more breaths here. Maybe closing your eyes if you could drop in. What is this discomfort telling me? Fire, fire, do I need to leave? Settling back into that long breath, regulating the nervous system. Elbows will come to, or forearms will come to thighs if you have it. If not, you'll take your palms to the inside of each leg. So forearms or palms. From there, you'll drop your right shoulder in, look over left. Come back through center. Drop left shoulder in, look over right. Back through center. Come up, thumbs at heart center. I'm not, trust me, I'm in this with you, and I usually am not. So you may notice that I'm almost coming up to a full stand. I'm dying here. Last 3 breaths. And then we'll inhale, straighten the legs, take the arms up overhead to tap. This is our break. And then exhale, sink, goddess squat, cactus arms. In, breath, reach. Empty, sink. Filling up. Emptying out. Big breaths in. Exhale. Follow your breath. Inhales rising. Exhale sinking. I know that you're shaking. I know that it's challenging. Challenge is truly where we meet our heart. Who we are. Not just who we've been told we are. who we believe we are. This is when the real hero of who we are shows up. Last 3. Last one, sink, hold. Hands can come into heart center, or you can place them on your thighs, breathing. You can take tiny little pulses. Last breath. Hands to hip, straight through the legs, heels out, big toes in. As you empty, this time you'll fold forward, flat back. Arms don't have to reach, they just stay at the hip. Take another inhale here to grow long through the spine. Exhale, hands will come down to just underneath shoulders if they're able to. Woo-wee! Left hand will come to center. Right arm is going to sweep up while keeping the hips neutral. So we don't want left hip dropping in and right lifting up. If you can't have your shoulder up like this, then take the back of your hand down to the sacral bone, the tail of your spine, and place it on there. Hand reaches up if it's at the spine, and an exhale, right hand comes down and replaces left as you breathe in, sweep up, twist. I like to plant my palm and use it as an anchor to roll my shoulder left over right. And not that that's even close to happening, but in my head it is. Left arm reaches up, and an exhale, both hands come down. We'll hang here in this wide-legged forward fold for about 5-6 breaths. And what I love about yoga is that yoga is so encouraging of nasal breathing. It's okay to sigh out, breathe out the exhale through the mouth, but the breath is coming in through the nose, which helps the nervous system to stay in its softer, I'm safe side. When we're breathing, inhale and exhale through the mouth, that triggers cortisol inside the body, and that's something we don't need extra of. If you're down on your elbows, come back up to your fingertips. Turn your left toes towards the front of the mat. Roll onto the ball of the back foot as your hands come forward to frame your left foot. On your empty, you'll step your back leg forward and halfway lift. Breathe in. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up. Hands come up over head. Left knee lifts. As you empty, hands stay exactly where they are overhead if you can manage it. Otherwise, take the thumbs into heart center, but you might want to play. So I'll show you what the full expression of Warrior 3 looks like, and then you can choose if you want to modify. On your exhale, you'll kick your left heel back and bring your fingers forward so you're coming into a nice parallel line with the earth. From here, you can choose to take thumbs into heart center. If you're wobbly, find a wall, or you don't have to take your toes even off the mat. They can stay like this. Personally, I think that's harder, so you're working way more than we are, and that's amazing. But if that's where you are, that's where you are today. On your inhale, hands will rise up, knee comes up, hip height. And this isn't going to be for everybody, so maybe you just want to stay here. As you exhale, kick back, Warrior 3. Inhale, come up, knee comes hip height. Empty, kick back. And maybe your breath is different than mine. Coming up with inhales and exhales to kick back. Whoa. Good thing I have things to grab onto. Inhale, rise up, knee comes hip height. And an exhale, thumbs through heart center, both feet plant down. Whoo-wee. You can take your feet hip width distance apart and find your mountain pose and your breath again. Let's all take a big breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. You might even want to find your lion's breath, where you breathe in through the nose and go. That's a big internal fire release. It's like our own air conditioning system. All right, I'm bringing my feet in a little bit closer together as I breathe in. Arms rise up, right knee lifts hip height. And this is an option to stay here. If this is enough balance for you, stay here. This side is my wobbly side, so you'll probably see me wobble, maybe fall out, but I'm gonna keep trying. Exhale, kick back. Inhales, bring you up. Knee comes up hip height. Maybe it takes a little longer to get there. Maybe you kick back a little slower. You take your time, you manage those micro movements, the micro fluctuations. And right now, where I'm doing this, it's a full moon this time of year. So if the moon can move the ocean, it can sure as heck move us. Last one. When you're ready, whoa, meeting knee up, hip height, hands overhead. Exhale, thumbs to heart center, both feet come down. You can part your palms, draw the shoulder blades in. Take 3 deep breaths. Sweeping arms overhead, reach up. Exhale, diving forward, fold. Halfway lift. Empty, fold. Option to step back, plank, and vinyasa, or sun salutation, or step back and downward facing dog. Sun salutations, crown lengthens forward from plank. Exhale, elbows nice, tight, hug to the sides. Crown lifts, rolling over the toes, downward facing dog. Whew. Big toes to center, left leg will kick up. And as you empty, we'll take left knee, left wrist, ankle sweeps across. But we're not going into pigeon here, we're gonna go into shoelace. Maybe untied shoelace for everyone, or you wanna come into, or actually I think this is called fire log. It's been a while, you know? It's been a minute, which is why I'm doing this challenge. I've just been so eager to get back and teach and get into a regular practice. So here you'll see both of my feet are flexed. I've got my right ankle crossing over left knee. If you have left ankle crossing over right thigh, that's okay. So flexed feet are going to protect this hinge joint knee. The idea of this posture is to unlock the hips enough to get the knees resting where they can, but mine are not. So I'm going to take a block, or I could even take my hands and support if I have no blocks. I could hug in slightly and alleviate some of the stress that's happening on the hip. But some stress is good. It just shouldn't feel like pain. If you don't get this far and it doesn't feel right at all, you can take your top leg and put it out in front slightly and see what that feels like. Maybe you have to have it more out, almost to a straight leg. Everything is fine. We're just looking to open the hips a little bit or a lot. And the hips are, whew, man, they are junk drawers, is what one of the students that I was teaching called it. She said, this is our junk drawer, and it really is. It's where all of the emotions go that we repress, refuse, deny. So some anger and intense sensations can come out of the hips. And also, we can get injured easy if we're not listening to our bodies. So if this doesn't feel right for you, go into a position that does. Find something that suits your body. It's really hard for me to know what you're working with here, but you do know. You always know. Except for me, because I forgot to put my block back in. We're here for 3 more breaths. We're gonna make our way out of this in like a fandangled half pigeon, but we're not staying in half pigeon. So you'll sweep your top leg back, plank your hands, tuck your back toes, and step back, plank, downward facing dog. Right leg comes up, right knee, right wrist, ankle sweeps across, and then we'll take our back leg forward and cross left ankle over right thigh. So this will be what it looks like from the side, but I'm still going to turn and face towards you. And one side will be, well, I feel like this one feels better to me, but I know it probably looks like I'm less in the posture than it did on the other side, or maybe it doesn't. But this side, less sensation for me. I'm still going to pad for support. I also am not going to forget to flex my feet because I love my knees. What can happen to when we're in a pose that is causing us a lot of physical discomfort is we'll get shorter in our breath and tighter in parts of the body that aren't even included in the posture. So acknowledge how you're breathing just by watching for a few moments. And then notice if you're holding tension across the shoulders, maybe through the belly, and leaning more into the strength of the spine. The spine is so supportive, and we forget that it's back there to hold us. Many times in our postures, we're trying to lean forward into the support of our hands when we have this really strong back body. Last 2 breaths. I'm gonna shift myself slightly as we move out half pigeon. So the top leg sweeps around behind you and reaches out as the top side of the foot comes down. Then you'll tuck the toes, lift the hips, send both feet back, find your plank. From plank, we'll find downward facing dog. Just because we didn't spend any time here today, downward facing dog. Maybe you want to paddle out the legs, bring some blood flow back into the calves. And then big toes to center. And we're going to slowly drop the knees down to hover. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Widen the knees to the outside edges of the mat. Untuck the toes. Sink the hips back. Find your child's pose. Head can come down. Massaging the center of the forehead is a nice, I'm at loss for, I think the moon does do a lot more to us than we think. I have words inside my head, input, no output today. It's a really relaxing spot to massage for the nervous system in the center of the forehead. We'll take 3 more breaths here in child's pose. And walk the hands back towards your body, bring the knees to center, keep the toes, keep the top side of the foot down, and bring your hips to sit on top of your heels if that's possible. If it's not possible, you can always take a block or a pillow and place it on your heels so that you're a little higher up. What would be restricting you here is knees, if you've had them replaced, really tight quads, or just sore knees in general, or anything going on with the knees. Don't mess around with it at all. If it's pain, pop out. If it's pain, you can come up and just try as much as you want, or wait for me and I'll give you something different. So you can sink your hips back to your heels here. And if you have space, start to walk the hands back so you're looking for a nice stretch through the quads. If your knees don't like all this weight on top of them, you can come forward onto your elbows and hug the foot in each side. We haven't done any twisting, so you don't really want to go into a back bend, but one hand at a time and pulling the ankles in towards, or the heels in towards the glutes. I'm going to sit in this posture, and I'll cue you if you are on your belly to change sides. So grab one foot if you're there. If you have any more space and you want to go deeper, you're like, this is nothing, Melanie. You can widen your feet outside the hips, sink the bum down so it's flat on the mat, or it finds a block. And these blocks are pretty thick. I like those thinner blocks, but I have all kinds and sizes. These are just the ones available. And then start to walk the hands back. I'm going to pop this block out here to show you where we can go. So you can come down to forearms or come all the way down to laying on your back. That's not there for me today, so I'm not going to do it, but if you have it. If you are pulling one heel in at a time, switch sides. I was thinking about today, this is a chatty practice. I was thinking today about why I love yoga so much. And I used to go to the gym and I partake in group fitness, and I'm a bit of a competitive person, but not at a competitive level. So I would always push myself beyond, and then I'd leave there and I'd be shaking. I'd be a wreck. And I'd come in and just stick my face in the fridge and eat everything. We'll start to come out of this. If you do have your sit bones down on the ground, start to slowly come out, and then we'll come into tabletop. If you are laying down, you can come back tabletop and just tap the tops of the feet. So I was pushing myself beyond where I needed to be, and I've probably only ever done that in yoga a few times. For the most part, I find yoga such a beautiful refuge. This is probably not going to make me your favorite teacher, but tuck your toes. Make sure that that little baby toe joins the fun as you sink your hips back towards your heels. This might be where you stop. You may have even been like, oh heck no, here. Hips quite a ways away from the heels. Or you want to come up, hips stacked on top of heels. The more you bring your shoulders on top of the heels, the heavier it'll be. My left leg is like, I'm going to shake my way off. They're all shaking. What you can do to help too is bringing a block underneath the knees as well, or a pillow. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm in full convulsions. But that's what I love about my yoga practice, is that it's mine. I'm not competing against anyone else. And especially, I gotta come out of this. Stay in for 2 to 3 breaths longer if you can. I don't know what's going on with me today, but I can. But yeah, this is what it is for me today. I'm not there today, and I've never beat myself up over it. I find this such a beautiful place for me to love myself, and I hope that this challenge makes your mat a beautiful place to love yourself. We'll make our way onto our backs if you are still in toe squat. Good job. Coming onto your back body, you can shift your weight onto the outside of one hip, sweep your legs forward, and we'll, let's take banana. So come along like Shavasana. Arms will go overhead. So I'll speak to this because I have tight shoulders, and it seems like it's a rare sort of thing. Seems like other people can do more than I can when it comes to shoulders. So this for me is, I think, enough. I don't need to move my hands anymore, but I can move my legs. So I'm going to take my legs over to the right, and maybe I'll cross my left ankle over right. If I wanted to torture myself, or if it was available, I'd also start to take my hands over to the right so that the left side body had lots of length from baby finger to baby toe. But here I start to feel that dull ache and pain in my shoulder. And that's just not what we're looking for. Another thing that I've done is, because it's the weight of the arm pulling on the shoulder socket there, is that if I do take my hands over, I've tucked a block underneath my elbow to support my shoulder. We'll close our eyes if that's available, if you're willing, and take 5 long breaths. If you have your hair, if you have long hair, if you have hair at all, and it's tied up, it's a great opportunity here to take it out. Take your hair out of its tie and let it go kind of wild before you drop into your Shavasana. And you can make your way right into the other side if you wish. I like to bring my arms down, place my hands on my belly, walk my feet back to center. This is, we weren't in that posture probably long enough to generate what's known as the rebound response, but that's where like this cool flush comes over the body, and I enjoy it. So I always like to have a reset at center. It's something you'd see more in a yin practice. And then the feet will go over to the left first if they haven't already. Right ankle can cross over. And I have a lot of sensation happening through the right side. There's not a lot you need to move inside this posture in order to feel that sensation. Bring my hands up overhead and see if right side feels better for me than the other side. And you know what? It does. So I can take my right arms or hands all the way over and come into a banana shape or a crescent moon. We have 5 long, slow breaths. You can start to unwind, bringing one arm down alongside body, 2 arms down, unwinding the ankles if they're crossed. And let's support the low back by taking a bend through the knees, because the low back tends to get quite compressed during banana asana. And we'll just roll side to side. You know what's funny is that my mentor, I was mentored extensively when I first started teaching yoga. She sent me a message. I was doing a story, and I just really love the word just. I just said it again, and I'll say it again a million times. And she was like, just a reminder, no just or something. She poked at me about it, and I was like, I like that word. I really like that word. But it is, she taught me how to be succinct in my cueing and to eliminate unnecessary words, which I've really blown it out of the water in this practice. Kick your left heel long, straighten through the leg, flexed foot. Kick your right leg long, straighten through the leg, flex your feet. Take a deep breath in, turn your palms over, exhale out, soften your body. This is an opportunity to close your eyes, make your way into your heart space, make your way down into your belly, feel your legs, arms, tongue, eyelids soft, orbit of the eye expands, and dropping in for your final resting pose, Shavasana. And yoga is so beautifully mirrored the nature experience and cycle of life, death, life. At the beginning of our practice, as we move through those powerful postures, the asana, this is the life of our practice. Shavasana translates to corpse pose. This is the death. Whatever has happened in this practice is left here on my mat. I can take with me into the day what I am conscious of carrying and leave here what I no longer wish to bring with me. And as we close off our practice and reawaken to life, the cycle continues. As we enter the life cycle of our day, our externalization of being in harmony with our community, unless it's bedtime, and then sleep is essential. I'll leave you here for as long as you need. Namaste.